Hello and welcome to the Last Word on Spurs. We are your multi-award winning Tottenham Hotspur podcast and we are back for our listeners on audio. It is Cup Semi-Final day, leg one. Don't be terrified, don't be scared. Although what I would say is through the camp, there's not only a sickness bug ripping through Tottenham, there's a sickness bug ripping through Last Word on Spurs where it's trying to take out the whole mandem and more. Taking us out one by one, but I will tell you, we will be here right until the absolute very, very end. And one of our latest victims of the flu, who told me this 10 minutes before coming on air, I think it's about the fact he just doesn't want to talk about Tottenham, and I don't blame him right now. I've got, one of my great friends, the wonderful Chatty Patty returns. Patty, are you going to calm me down from chatting? How are you, my man?
Yeah, I'm not feeling well, man. I'm under the weather, and I was never gonna pull out, but it was touch and go. Do you know what I mean? But I'm here. Hopefully, I can put in at least 45 minutes.
You've got to quickly change that because Bill's here with the King of X. He could change that. Look, I'm wondering where that could potentially go. That comment.
Oh man, but no, all good, man. And happy to be here with Billie T and Mitch. Obviously, it's a pleasure to be on with such esteemed guests and everything like that. Shout out to everyone in the chat. I'm looking at the TV as well. You might see me cross-referencing. I'm seeing it's 2-0 to Newcastle, so that's quite tasty. But yeah,
absolutely.
Anyway, yeah,
absolutely.
We're here.
Hey, thank you so much. Look, Spurs might not kill you, but flu at the moment, and it's riping through the cab. So thank you so much for joining us. Back on the show twice in a week. God, we're blessed. He'll be with us hopefully throughout the season and more. He's smiling. There's no darts on tonight, but we're battling once again. Live football, so he'll be up and down and wherever he might be. Billie T's in the house. Bill, how are you?
Yeah, mate. I've been coming down with something really badly all week as well. It's been wiping me out. I've come down with a big case of cup fever, mate. We're back in. Got Luke lifting the trophy out of the way. Now it's our turn. Come on. 2-0 Newcastle as well. Boom.
Come on. Audi Cup, sit back. Here we go. League Cup journey in its way. And make up our panel. Look, a man that I always say philosophically is always trying to keep us positive, keep us, in Lee McQueen's words, on the train. And Mitch is one of those, I don't know if Mitch will mind me saying this, he's one of those kind of guys that he's always throwing the coal back into the train and saying, look, this is why we should be okay. This is why we can keep positive. Mitch, you are smiling. It is Cup Semi-Final day for our listeners on audio. How are you? Love to be back with us.
I'm very well, thank you. I'm always on the train, Ricky. Even when I'm not on the show, I'm on the train. I'm always lurking in the background, listening. I've always got my positive cap on, and that's not going to change anytime soon. But yeah, it's great to be back with an amazing panel as well. And yeah, I'm right up for it this week, Ricky. It's Cup Semi-Final week. Anything can happen in the cup. You never know. It doesn't matter where you are in the league table. It doesn't matter how many injuries you've got. What will be will be. And ultimately, we're 2 games away from Wembley. So I'm looking forward to talking about that and everything else. And yeah, I'm sure it'll be a very, very good show, as it always is.
Mitch, bless you. Thank you so much. And like I say, look, it is Cup Semi-Final day. So look, I'm having a day off the stats, all right? A day off the Ange stats. People saying, Rick, just stop with the Ange stats. All right, I'm stopping with the Ange stats, all right, for 24 hours. Sorry, Patty. I'm stopping with the Ange stats for 24 hours. It is Cup Semi-Final day. And look, the 2-legged target Liverpool to come. We know how big that will be in the context of Spurs' season. Look, I mean, and many people know our league position. Look, we know we've got problems there. Don't get me wrong. And it's a case now where really for Tottenham, it is all about, of course, for us, trying to now hopefully win a trophy and try and make what is left of the season successful, given just what it has been so far in terms of the difficult nature that it is in. Look, Spurs are going to host Liverpool in that first leg of the Carabao Cup. For our listeners on audio, that, of course, is this evening. And look, we know Spurs have been largely dominant through this competition in terms of the Manchester clubs. They've obviously beaten Man United and Man City now to reach the Final Four. And that's despite the fact, as we know, throughout this journey of the Cup competition, Spurs have been in dire league form and have had a series of really injuries behind the camp that have affected our journey throughout. But we are there. From a perspective of Liverpool, they, on the other hand, have been able to rotate heavily throughout this competition. They secured a 2-1 quarter-final away win at Southampton, which has set up this tie. They are sitting pretty in terms of the Premier League. They are top of that. They are top of the Champions League. And they have only lost 1 game in all competitions all season against Nottingham Forest, which, to be fair now, I mean, losing to Forest isn't such a bad thing because Forest are in unbelievable form under Nuno. Who would have thought it? But look, just to give everybody a rundown of what is to come on this show, we have billed it as a transfer update, and that is what we're going to bring to you, of course. We've had news, of course, over the last 24 hours. Tottenham have triggered. They have triggered Heung-Min Son's extension, which takes him up to a further 12 months at the football club. We understand as things stand that, of course, in terms of our transfer targets, Moani remains Tottenham's top target during this January transfer window. And we also understand from the agent of Richard Rios that there is a denial in any bid from Tottenham as things stands. We also understand that Kusanov is a Tottenham Hotspur target, but as things stands, it is highly unlikely that Tottenham are going to meet the valuation of the club that are looking to sell him. The understanding valuation of the player is around, we're led to believe, the 25, 30 million pound valuation. It could go up further, which as things stands would rule out Tottenham. I know what people are thinking. What budget have we got these days? Who knows? Who knows what budget we've got these days with the way we do operate in this market. But look, we do know Spurs have got one man already through the door. That, of course, in the form of Antonio Kinski. He's understood to have already received his work permit and therefore is in contention to be starting against Liverpool in this Carabao Cup tie later on this evening. Of course, for us, a massive, massive game in the context of Spurs' season. But the big news, of course, look, Tottenham have exercised the option, as I said, on Heung-Min Son's contract to keep him for additional 12 months until June 2026. We're going to hear of what Ange Postecoglou makes of that news that Heung-Min Son has been tied down to the club, quite literally, for a further 12 months.
An illness front?
It depends. I think net-wise, we're still down. We'll get Bentancur back, but we lose Madison and Pape Sarr by suspension. So a couple of numbers down there. And then in terms of the injuries, no one back. Mikey potentially could be available for to be on the bench. Everyone else from the weekend certainly feel better. Radu's kind of recovered. Archie's better. They were the kind of main ones. Decky was a little bit under the weather, but he's good. So pretty much as was on the weekend, plus Bentancur minus the other two.
And is Richarlison back in training?
Yeah, he's training, yeah.
How close is he?
Yeah, we're hoping, well, the whole plan with him was to get, obviously, with what's happened to him this year, to get 2 solid full weeks of training. So that's his second week will be next week, and get through that, he'll be fine.
Son has extended his stay for an extra season. How pleased are you with that? And what does he bring to you and this club?
Yeah, brilliant. He's already had an outstanding career at this football club. He's been he's played a big role in sort of the last 10 years of made an impact at the club, made an impact in the Premier League. Great to extend his stay, and the kind of aim and the ambition is to make sure he finishes his tournament career with some silverware.
And you've brought a player in this transfer window already in Kinski. Is he likely to feature tomorrow or too soon? Linked with Randall, Kolo Muani at PSG, but Richarlison, you say, is close. Yeah. Do you still want to bring in a forward in this window?
Look, we're still, I think, trying to help the squad and help the players. Obviously, like I said, we're still down significant numbers. Again, we'll have roughly 10 first-team players missing tomorrow. That isn't easing at the moment. There's still, like I said, we're getting one back. We lose a couple, so we still need to look to try and, see if we can help the playing group. And the club's working hard with that, with a number of areas.
Thank you.
Thanks, mate.
Hi, Ange, how are you?
Good, mate.
The league form hasn't been spectacular, I think it's fair to say, of late. So the fact you've got a couple of cup games coming up, is that a good kind of respite from what's been going on in the Premier League?
Yeah, no, look, our league results have been poor, so there's no hiding from that. Like I said, this is a separate competition tomorrow night. We've done well to get to the semi-final stage. We've been some pretty, both matches the clubs to do that. Hasn't been an easy road to get to the semi-finals. We've got obviously, an opponent who's, been the standout team so far this year in all competitions. So a great test for us, but it's a semi-final, first leg of a semi-final of a cup, and should be exciting. Looking forward to it.
and a lot of injuries, and you've had to get through it. I think that's sort of what you were saying in the last few weeks. But do you think there's been a bit more of a reset now, and giving you a bit of a chance to look at maybe those kind of signings? You know, who's coming back, when they're coming back, and maybe have a bit of a picture about what the rest of the season will look like.
Look, I think sort of, you know, I kind of knew it would be a tough couple of months for us, but you know, part of you is always optimistic that, you know, we won't have to sort of deal with what we had to deal with for as long as we've had to deal with it. So again, optimistically, I think we'll get through this, and I think, you know, we'll get through it hopefully pretty quickly. We get into the tail end, which just gives you a chance to say, okay, what's the second half of the season going to look like for us? But at the same time, I can't lose sight of the fact that, you know, what's important for us right now is that we deal with what's in front of us. We've got a big game tomorrow night, obviously FA Cup. You know, our league form's nowhere near good enough. We've got to address that. So we can't just wait for it to all happen. So the planning is going on in the background for sure, but my immediate task is to make sure we kind of make an impact in what we can right now.
And what did you make of?
So there you go. Those were the thoughts of Ange Postecoglou. I should have said that was a bit more of a comprehensive update than what we were expecting there. Of course, given the fact that he has announced from his perspective, he would love to see Heung-Min Son leave Tottenham with silverware under, of course, his arm. And I'm sure we all do want that. And he gave us a comprehensive roundup there as to where Spurs are going into that huge Carabao Cup first leg against Liverpool for, of course, later this evening for our listeners on audio. Patty, I'm going to open with you with the news that Heung-Min Son has had that contract exercised option by Spurs to further extend him by a further 12 months. He will now be at the club until 2026. We do obviously knew before this point, Tottenham were at risk of potentially losing the player on a free transfer at the end of what would have been a decade-long spell at the club. We understand Barcelona were one of a number of clubs that were rumoured to be looking at signing him this summer. But obviously Spurs have now stopped that from happening because they've now tied him down for a further 12 months. Patty, right or wrong decision, Heung-Min Son, a Tottenham player, for at least until another 12 months' time?
First and foremost, I want to big up Mitch. I saw him sneezing away in the background, so I just want to say bless you. I know.
Oh my God, it's all going on here.
Yeah,
we can't have any more dropping here.
It's rife at the moment, man. So yeah,
I have to bring my wife into bloody co-host at this rate, Pat. We don't want that on this show, believe me. You don't want that on this show, believe me, you don't.
But no, going back to your question, it's brilliant news, man. Sonny, fantastic guy, fantastic player. Still one of the best forwards in the world, in my opinion. I know he's been off it. I know the bar's so high at the moment. And it is a shame, like, seeing Son not at the races and not 100%. We obviously need him to carry the team right now, especially with the amount of players out. But he's been flogged to death and, you know, obviously overplayed because of the nature of the squad and all of that stuff. But going back to it, you would hate to lose Son on a free to any team, especially when you see the teams that are in for him, like Barcelona. You know, it's the top tier teams that are after him because he's still a talent. Obviously, we need to bolster the squad so that he can be eased out and rotated in and all of that stuff. But going back to it, Son on his day, still one of the best, pound for pound, a fantastic finisher. And we need guys of his caliber and better at the club. So you would hate to lose someone. You know, after losing Kane, you don't want to see another talisman go through the door, like Ange said, without silverware. So I like that Ange put that in there. I like that he's still alluding to us winning something. That's paramount. The form has been discussed and we all know that. But all we can do now is try and look forward. And it's good news, you know, there's been so much doom and gloom and bad news. So I didn't expect to see Son go, I'm not going to lie. But obviously when you hear the rumours of teams fishing around and the longer it goes on without him signing, it does get a bit sticky. So all in all, fantastic news. But, you know, we need to build off of this. It's not, I don't want that to be it, Kinski and Son re-signing. We need way more than that right now.
I think it was quite telling, you know, many have missed it at all, that in that presser, Bill, coming over to you, it's been very, very clear, Ange Postecoglou, that Tottenham are simply not going to panic buy. They are only going to bring in players that they genuinely feel are going to affect the first team. We're going to come on to that very shortly. But Bill, I know you've been a massive advocate. You said on your last show, to quote you, and listen, I know Tottenham always listen. They're listening to you. They're definitely listening to you. You said there is no way in your mind that you would ever want to see Heung-Min Son leaving the football club. And I think, Bill, I don't put words in your mouth. I think you actually said on the last show that you would like it for Son's decision actually to be obviously his departure rather than Tottenham making that call. So how pleased are you to see Heung-Min Son with that triggered option now for a further 12 months?
Yeah, very, man. And I echo everything that Pat just said and as well, like, it's really important that this guy lifts a trophy with us, man. Like, you know, the fact that Kane didn't lift the trophy off is a heartbreak that I'll probably never get over for the rest of my life, and I'm sure the club won't either. If Son follows that as well, then it's just an absolute tragedy. All I want is that picture, that iconic picture of Son lifting a trophy that lasts forever, that we can show our grandkids. You know what I mean? This guy, remember when we were in the mud, like we were in a similar situation to what we were in now at the end of the season. He signed a new contract. He stayed loyal to us. You know, he wasn't going on golf tours with Gary Neville and all this kind of thing, and, you know, putting the feelers out of his agents. He's always, there's never been a transfer rumor away from Son. There's never been, you know, his agents fishing for something like you get with your Romeros, your Harry Kanes. This guy has stayed loyal to a fault to us. And I want nothing more than him to win a trophy. And, you know, I saw a stat going around today that, you know, other than Salah, he's the second most big chances created in the league at the moment. So while he's having a pretty poor season by his own standards, there's still a lot to work with there. And I think Pat is completely true in what he said. We need players of Son's caliber or better. Like, I think we need to go and sign another winger to replace Son, but keep Son at the club as well. You know, keep him involved. This guy has earned the right to say end his career when he wants to end his career. And I don't think until he wins a trophy, there's unfinished business.
Bill, thank you so much. And Mitch, if I come around to you, you know, Son, and to quote the boys there, he has long since been the top scoring Asian player in the Premier League history. He's the third top scorer of players still active in the competition behind only Jamie Vardy and Mo Salah. He's reached double figures in a top fight in each of the last 8 seasons and shared the Golden Boot with Mo Salah in 2022. I mean, look, we can't get away from it. He has found it harder this season than usual to hit the back of the net, netting only 5 goals so far in his in the last 11 Premier League appearances. You know, that is just so unlike Heung-Min Son form. That's why I think, Mitch, you know, it's probably the first time I've actually ever seen there being questions and queries as to whether Son should remain at the football club. What is your reaction, Mitch, to the fact that we have triggered that option for a further 12 months?
Well, firstly, it didn't take long for you to whack the numbers out, even though you said you weren't going to be the stats man tonight.
I said, just to be clear, Mitch, I said no Ange stats. Pat, you might get him in,
well,
but no Ange stats. Plenty of
solid
stats, no Ange stats. Rested for 124 hours.
I agree with the others. I'm delighted that his extension's been triggered. I think it's very, very easy in football to forget about what a player's done in the past when they're maybe not at that level anymore. You know, a lot of people did it with Dele Alli. A lot of people did it with Christian Eriksen when they were sort of on the decline and on their way out of the club. You know, they didn't necessarily have the best endings to the time at the club, but Son has been, or had been, depends on your opinion, a world-class player at Tottenham for so many years. And I'll stick by the point that I think, regardless to the level that he's at the moment, he deserves to stay for that extra year. I'm sure he could have gone elsewhere if he wanted to. But he's never been that type of player to try and push a move away. You know, it's the complete opposite to Harry. Whereas, you know, you could sort of tell with Harry that he maybe wanted to try something new. Sonny's never been like that, and I truly believe that the one thing Son wants in his life is to win a trophy with this club, and that's what we as fans all want as well. So it's still the perfect pairing for me, Son and Tottenham. You know, you just reeled off all of the stats there about what he's achieved and what he's doing this season. You know, maybe his numbers are going a little bit under the radar this term. I think the criticism on him has been quite harsh because he's probably been overused, which is why I agree with what Pat said a minute ago about signing a replacement for him. That way it makes it a lot easier to manage his minutes and keep him fresh. And we know that when he's fresh, he can still deliver and be that player that we know he is, and he has been for so many years. So, it would have been sad to see him go in the summer if that had been the case. But the fact you've got reports and rumours going around that the likes of Barcelona want to take him on board, it tells you all you need to know about the quality that he still possesses and the people that know football. You know, the fact that they want him, that says it all, really. So it's really, really good. At the end of the day, he's our captain. He loves the club. He wants to win. And that extension being triggered now, I think is really good for the club. It doesn't leave any questions about what his future might be. And we can now focus on recruiting, hopefully, his successor who, you know, if his successor turns out to be half as good as him, then we'd still be signing a good player. So overall, very, very happy that he's staying with us.
Mitch, thank you so much on that point. And again, I think many will emphasise the fact that when Sonny has been at the top of his game, you know, to quote what Bill said, and I totally agree, that it would be an absolute travesty if Heung-Min Son leaves his football club without a trophy. You know, I know many felt the same towards Harry Kane and the fact of Kane, a boy that came through Tottenham to some degree, didn't get that trophy. But Sonny, again, I'll go back to the point where Bill says, not to sound like a broken record, but, that guy has never seeked or wanted to move. I mean, look, whatever you think about that time under Nuno now, looking back, I know people were kind of disillusioned under Nuno. I mean, what Nuno's doing with Forest right now, many are thinking, did we sack Nuno too early? But the reality is that at that time, let's be honest about it, Spurs were in complete, utter disarray. They were losing the figurehead, you'd say, vice captain of the football club in Harry Kane, and still Sonny wanted to commit to the football club for, I think, a further 4.5 years, which I think for any person outside Tottenham would just think that's simply illogical. But Sonny still wanted to do that. And like Bill has said, at no point really has Sonny ever veered or looked for a move elsewhere. But this is just my personal opinion. And maybe I'm not right for saying this, but I do want to say it on this show that I think, personally, I think Sonny would have liked a longer contract. That's just my personal opinion. And I think it's quite telling that the club have triggered the option rather than looking to agree something more long-term. So, look, that's not to do down the fact we've triggered the option on Sonny, but I do wonder what that does mean in 12 months' time. If Sonny does rediscover his form, look, hopefully that does mean Spurs will want to, as a football club, try and tie Sonny down for further. But I think it's extremely interesting that, again, we had the wonderful Ben Jacobs on this show last night that made it clear that there had been, a contract on the table for Sonny through the earlier parts of the year. And I'm going back now, kind of August, September, October. That had gone very, very quiet. But we always knew, to be clear, Tottenham held that option to trigger the extension. So that's exactly what Tottenham have done. They've protected their own interests for a further 12 months. What we are going to do, we're going to hear directly now from Heung-Min Son, who's spoken about what it means to him to have a further 12 months at the football club. And after, we are getting in touch with what we are doing in that transfer window.
Obviously, it's very grateful. I love the club and I love the time. I spent almost 10 years and another year with the club, which is that I'm very proud of, and something back towards to the clubs. Look, I mean, when you're captain, takes so much responsibility, and this is the club that in the Premier League that everybody wanna dream for. When you were kids, but when I saw as soon as captain, it takes more step forwards. You have to be a good example. You have to be a leader. You have to do the right things all the time. So which is that sometimes is very hard, and you have to be demanding yourself. I'm always thinking about it when this tough time comes. You always, when you hit the ground, it's a time to jump again, So it's time to climb again. So which is that when you have a bad time, the good times are always coming,
Heung-Min Son in positive spirits after Spurs trigger his contract by a further 12 months. I think that's an interesting interview. Many might have thought there'd be more emotion around that, but look, again, you have to remember it's a trigger rather than the fact of him signing a new long-term contract. So we will see what the long-term future holds for Heung-Min Son, but in the short term, he remains a Tottenham player. He obviously remains our club captain and will be steering us and guiding us through between now until at least the end of the season and beyond. And look, we know Spurs have already been busy in this January transfer window so far. They've brought in a goalkeeper in, of course, Kinski, that is potentially due to make his full debut against Liverpool after having that work permit approved. But we understand now, in terms of the transfer window, it is in attack where Tottenham are now looking to make a splash. And look no further than the PSG and French star Kolo Muani, who we understand is firmly on Tottenham's radar. And for this moment in time, I'm very conscious, because things can change in the transfer window, that he at the moment remains Tottenham Hotspur's absolute top target. Tottenham are understood to be pushing for Kolo Muani to come to the football club. However, as things stand, PSG are continuing to insist that any move must be a loan with an obligation to buy, whereas we understand at the moment Tottenham Hotspur want to take the player purely on a loan until the end of the season rather than there being an obligation to buy. I think something around the fact that his contract, his wages are around 200,000 per week is probably part of it. And that would mean that if Tottenham do bring Kolo Muani in, he automatically goes onto the same level, that wage bracket, as Heung-Min Son. And for those that are not aware out there, Tottenham only recently in the last 12 months did a whole restructure of their wage demands or wage review of their squad after Harry Kane left the football club. So to be fair, Sonny is Tottenham's highest earner. And then if Tottenham were to commit to bringing in Kolo Muani, he would automatically be on the same wages as Heung-Min Son. And like Ange says, he wants to make sure he gets the right players in that doesn't upset the dressing room. Pat, from what you see from the outside looking in, Kolo Muani, I'm not sure how much you know about the player. Does it excite you? Is that the kind of player Tottenham would need to improve their forward options?
Yeah, I mean, the name excites me, but I don't want to get excited because, like, how realistic is it for us to bring in a player that caliber? And I know he's out of sorts at PSG, but he's a brilliant not forward thinking, but a forward player. And he would definitely add instant depth and quality to our team. The fact that Richarlison can never stay fit is a big concern for any Spurs fan, isn't it? Because as much as we all love Richarlison's character and his, commitment when he's on the pitch, the guy just unfortunately can never get a proper run in. And when he plays, he makes a difference. Like in his last, stint, he actually got injured as he made an assist for a goal, and we haven't seen him. And it's just frustrating because Richarlison has got the talent, but he's just never available, man. So if we can get someone like Moani who can obviously help Sonny, help Maddison, help all the players around him. Obviously, better players make other players around them better. But I just don't want to get excited because it seems like it's so far off. And every time, we're always throwing all these beautiful and quality names, your Netos, your Ezes, even your Conor Gallaghers, if you're interested in that type of six or whatever it is, and they never come into fruition. So this window, I'm just playing it cool and we'll just see who comes in. Tottenham have been a bit more cuter over the last, say, 12 months with the players we bring in. Like there wasn't much fanfare about Kinski, he just came in. So hopefully we are doing we need to do something, and maybe Moani might be a smokescreen and we bring in, but we need quality. Like I said earlier, we need quality, man. This team's lacking. When everyone's fit and everyone's at it, we can obviously play, pound for pound, we can go against anyone, but there's just too many injuries, too many players getting run into the ground, high octane football, the demands of that. The squad's threadbare, and it's a worry. But yeah, Moani would be great, but I just don't know how realistic it is. And yeah, man, that's all I can say really about it.
Patty, thank you so much. Bill, look, Ange was asked directly what his thoughts were on Kolo Muani after being linked. He said, look, we are just trying to help the squad and help the players. We are still down significantly in terms of numbers. We have roughly 10 first-team players missing ahead of the Liverpool game. That's not easy. So we are still looking to try and help the playing group. The club is working hard in a number of areas. Try harder. Try harder. Bill, Kolo Muani, does he tick your boxes?
Yeah, definitely. But I echo what Patty just said. Like, until it's done, that's when I'll start to get excited about it, because we've seen last time I was on the show, we were talking about Johnstone for a good section, and then that very quickly another name came out of nowhere. So I think Lange is particularly the way that he works. It wouldn't surprise me if a completely new name comes out tomorrow that we end up doing pretty quickly. So I think it's difficult to judge with the way that Lange works. Until it happens, then. That's when I'll start to get excited. But I think this would be a great signing. I really, really do. I thought he was an excellent player at Frankfurt. I think if we'd have been signing him straight from Frankfurt right now, everyone would be going crazy about this signing. But because he's had a bit of a tough time at PSG, but as a lot of players have had tough times at PSG. It's not an easy place to make your mark at all. We've seen it many, many times over the years. So yeah. And when you look at the last few games that we've had, Son, Werner and Johnson, the form that our wingers are in, any kind of person that could play wide forward would be a massive bonus for me. So I would be buzzing if we get this one over the line.
Yeah, I agree. Just on that point Bill said there, Mitch, coming over to you, he talks about his record at Eintracht Frankfurt. He had 46 goal involvements in just 40 games. He went to PSG for a figure of around 75, 76 million, which that was a mad figure in 2023. And look, we know he's subject to a lot of interest right now. It isn't just Tottenham who are interested in his services. For you, Mitch, is this a real sign of... I'm maybe right for saying this word under this ownership at the moment. Would it be a signal of ambition, Mitch, if they were to bring Moani in, even on loan? Or, again, is this one to kind of think, we gave it a go, but we didn't get it over the line? Because to be fair, look, there's a huge amount of interest in the player. We understand Juventus are also calling him as our Manchester United. Where are you, Mitch, on this move for Kolo Muani?
I don't know if I'd go as far as ambition. I would say it's more of a necessity to bring this type of player in. Ange talked about it in his press conference the other day. He wants a forward who can sort of play across the front line, help out in a number of different positions, be very versatile. And Kolo Muani sort of ticks all of those boxes. And, we can talk about the numbers, but at the end of the day, yes, PSG are one of the, if not the richest club in Europe, but they paid that money for him for a reason. He was very in demand at the time, and PSG were that desperate to get him that, they're willing to put the money on the table. And if you want to sign good players, ultimately, in a transfer window, there are going to be more than one club interested in a good player. And that is the case with Kolo Muani, Juventus and Manchester United. I think Juventus naturally can offer a little bit more in terms of playing in Europe and Serie A and the squad and the structure that they have at the moment. Manchester United obviously in a very similar position to us. And perhaps that would depend on them shipping out one of Højlund, Xerxes or Rashford to bring him in. So I actually do think we stand in pretty good stead if we were to actually pursue this deal. But like Pat said, we don't know if it's a smokescreen. We don't know if there's going to be another name coming out of nowhere. And it could drop at literally any given moment. Like, it could drop at 1 o'clock in the morning tomorrow or 2, 3 a.m. And we'll wake up and be like, oh, okay, we didn't even have a sniff of that because, that is how Johan Lange works. And you mentioned wages earlier and how that might potentially be an obstacle with the restructuring. But correct me if I'm wrong, one of you three, but I'm pretty sure Timo Werner is in the top 3 of the club's earners. I know, obviously, he's part loan.
You're spot on. He is in the top.
He is.
Yeah.
Sonny, Madison, and Werner, I think, are our top 3 earners.
Yeah. So obviously, I know we don't cover all of Werner's wages, but I think he's only a little
Ricky,
bit.
why are you laughing?
I'm laughing because I'm thinking. Look at. I don't mean disrespectful down the years. The quality of players we've had. I'm going to come back to Mitch. I'm so sorry. I've got to answer this question from Patty there. I'm laughing because I'm thinking, with no disrespect, with the caliber of players that we've got at this football club and what we're paying them. I mean, in those top 3, with no disrespect to Madison, I think to be fair is an up and down season. But Werner, I mean, I still say this point at the time we signed him. We saw him once already. I mean, the negligence of talent ID to go and sign him again.
It's crazy.
His agent, man. His agent must be laughing every single day. He must wake up and laugh and then go to sleep and laugh.
He wakes up and laugh and we cry. Mitch, carry on, please.
But this is what I mean, Ricky. Like I read a report earlier. Credibility may not be 100% accurate, but I was reading reports that Kobbie Mainoo, 19-year-old teenager, has only really just broken through, linked to Chelsea, and the reason is that he wants a new contract at Man United, but he wants 200k a week. Which is the numbers that we're talking about to bring in this sort of established forward player that would improve us, and I think would be a significant upgrade on the options that we have, particularly in those wide areas and in terms of replacing Richarlison, in my opinion. So, yeah, he's one I'd love to see us go afterwards. My worry is that because PSG will be well aware that the 3 clubs are interested in him, they're probably not going to budge on too much of the deals early in this transfer window, and we need to get the business done early. By the time it gets to the end of January, we'll hopefully be getting most of our players back bar Vicario. And at that point, we've wasted an entire month where we've got 7 or 8 games, and important games at that as well. So, yeah, if we're going to do it, we need to go for it and we need to get it done early. And if it's a smokescreen, when Lange better have a decent name ready to go if that's someone else that he wants to target. So, yeah, I'm hopeful, but I'm also intrigued to see if there's someone else that breaks through in the next couple of days or so as well.
Let's cut to the chase. Mitch, will it happen, yes or no?
No. Sorry. No, that's the Tottenham brain talking. That's my Tottenham brain talking there. I'm sorry.
But
I want it to happen.
But your heart's telling you get it on the back of the shirt until the end of the season.
Yeah, I don't want to get too dragged into it because I've been so disappointed before. The Dybala stint, it still haunts me, Ricky. Still haunts me,
Haunts us all. Bill's still got that bookmarked on X somewhere, I think. Somewhere he has. Bill,
hey, Moutinho is the one that gets me, bro. Moutinho. Still the fax machine era.
Do you still remember? I still remember on I think it was on the deadline day or the following day after, Tottenham put out a statement saying, "Yeah, we did try to sign him. We did try to sign him."
Fax machine broke, I think they said.
Honestly, this football club. Bill, yes or no? Kolo Muani, will it happen?
No.
Patty?
No. Like I said, Eze, Neto, Conor Gallagher. Who else? There's been so many that we were excited about, and this is January as well. And Tottenham always say, "Oh, we're looking, but it's going to be difficult. It's January. It's this, that." There's already all these like little doubts that they're planting, like Caesar doubts. So no, unfortunately, I'd love it to
Right,
happen, but no.
Boys, if this gets announced at 1 a.m. tonight, we're all back here, all right, for the
Oh,
special.
mate, come
Do
on.
you
I'll be
think
on
it will,
it
Ricky?
straight.
Do you think it'll happen, Ricky?
Personally, I can't see it happening at the moment. I mean, the thing with this, you'd imagine this player and this deal, you think it's going to have to happen fairly fast, because the reality is with more and more interest being garnered, the reality is that wages that he's on, as we've all touched upon there, that is massive wages for Tottenham to commit to. So I think very similar to you, Mitch, that Johan Lang has got some other options in the pipeline. I'll be honest with you, I'm not too sure if I'll be intrigued by those other options, given what I've seen of Timo Werner for the last 12 months and the fact we decided to re-sign him again. Right, we're going to move on. We're going to move on before I don't have a complete head loss on here. We have had reports out of Portugal and Brazil that the midfielder that many might not be aware of, but in the last 24, 48 hours, this news has come to us that Richard Rios' agent has denied any official proposal from Tottenham Hotspur for the midfielder. He said, "We heard some rumours about that subject, that we're speculating his name since last year, but nothing is concrete right now. There has been no bid from Tottenham." Now, the Brazil international was a regular for Palmeiras last year. He made 49 appearances in all competitions. He missed 11 games due to his participation in the Copa America, and his performances have caught the eye reportedly of Spurs, Napoli, and other European clubs. It is highly likely that he will remain at his parent club until the end of this season. And if that were to happen, you'd imagine, like I say, clubs like Tottenham, Napoli, and other European clubs will evaluate the situation in the summer. And we also understand it's been reported from RTI Esporte that he will only be allowed to leave this window, and get this is where Tottenham completely ruled out, if a club were to meet his 100 million release clause. I think it's fair to say, boys, he's not coming in this month. That's a bit of a redundant question, this one. For the summer, any takers for Rios based on 100 million release clause in January, and in the summer, a negotiable price? What we saying? Patty, I know we haven't known much about this player. Any ideas for you on Richard Rios?
You know what? I can't lie to you. I don't know much about him. So it's hard to say. I've never seen him play. So
do you think we need, Pat, on this point? You know, we spoke a lot about a number 6 in the summer.
Is that his profile? Is he a number 6? Is he a DM?
I'm not led to believe he is. No, I believe he's more of a box-to-box midfielder. That's what I'm led to believe. I know Manchester United looked at him in the summer. From what you see of Tottenham's midfield right now, do you still feel we're lacking enough depth in there? Benson Core, Maddison, Bissouma. Obviously, Kulu has been a revelation in that central attacking mid-role. Have we got enough in that midfield for you? Is that one of the areas that you would need to evaluate in this window if we can and bring somebody in?
It's definitely a position that we need to evaluate in, but I also feel that with the tactics that Ange deploys, it's like unless he changes a bit and adapts a bit of flexibility, where we get a 6 that will actually anchor that midfield and protect the back 4, no matter who it is, they're going to be left in no man's land, and on the transition, the midfield is always wide open. So as good as any 6 is, unless we actually support that player and just be a bit more tactically better, basically, it doesn't really matter who we bring in. Of course, quality, the better the player, of course that helps. But yeah, we need a midfielder that is more competent on the ball than Bissouma in terms of passing. And even Sarr, as much as I like Sarr, I love his energy, I love his enthusiasm, and he's a great box-to-box player, but I still feel he's very sloppy on the ball and he gives the ball away a lot. And maybe because we like him, we don't get onto him as much as we should, because his ball retention is really poor. And Bissouma was brilliant on his day, but he can just be, you just don't know what you're going to get with him. He can be a head case at best. He can be brilliant. He can be sloppy. He can be lackadaisical. I just think we need essentially another Bentancur. I think Bentancur is brilliant, and he does kind of get lost in the midfield because we're just so up and down. But I think he's very consistent. I think we need another player of his ilk. But like I said, I think no matter who it is, unless we actually not sit a bit deeper, but just actually employ a midfielder that will protect that back 4 and not roam as much, and the fullbacks are not always like literally on the wingers' arses, we're always going to be open in the midfield no matter who it is.
Yeah, it's interesting you bring it up, Pat. And I must just say, for our listeners on audio, I think I did mention that Richard Rios was Brazilian. I can tell you in breaking news, he's not Brazilian. He's Colombian, so I know I've given him a dual
See, there
nationality
you
there.
go.
So look,
none of us know that much about him.
even
really.
even the biggest wafflers get it wrong. Even the biggest bluffers out here get it wrong. Like I know what I'm bloody talking about. Bill, how do you fancy a half Colombian, half Brazilian in Tottenham's midfield? Is that what we're missing? That Latina touch, that feistiness?
I tell you what, man, I do want a rejuvenated midfield. Like, I don't want to go into next season with the same midfield that we got at the moment because, I think Basuma's discipline, we can't rely on that over a season. I agree with Pat. I think Bentancur is a fantastic player, but again, there's questions over his discipline. He's already been banned again, straight after coming off the back of that huge ban that he had. He absolutely flew into that tackle when he knew his one yellow card away. So while he's a brilliant player, I'm not sure he's someone we can rely on, in discipline-wise. We definitely need some new bodies in there and some new quality. I like the look of the Cardoso, who you got the option on at Betis. I think he's more of a 6 than the players that we just mentioned, and the Colombian guy, Arias. But it's an area that we have to massively strengthen for me. We went into the last summer transfer window saying, we need midfielders, we need a 6. We didn't get one. January, the same stories here, and it looks like it's going to be the same in summer again. I think we badly need some new profiles in midfield because I think it's an area that we struggle a little bit.
Do you think, Bill, just sticking with you for a second, we're talking about the midfield here. I mean, Archie Gray has played every position bar the one I think we're all excited to see him in, which is CDM. Do you think that's where we're missing that trick in regards to Archie Gray? Or do you think, despite Gray being here, despite Lucas Bergvall being here, that I think we all know these two are really talented midfielders for the future of Tottenham and they're getting game time now eventually? Do you think now that we still need to add that midfield despite having the likes of Bergvall and Gray that have shone in recent weeks?
Yeah, and I think that's where we went wrong in summer. We bought some terrific young talent, and everyone's excited about Archie Gray and Bergvall. I think Bergvall had a really good game at the weekend, by the way, and I think he'll probably start tomorrow as well. But I think where we went wrong is you didn't balance that with experience quality, and we need a lot more experience quality in our team because, we've seen time and time again this season and time again historically, when our heads go, we are in big, big trouble. We don't have that cool head in the middle that can really sort of dictate the tempo and be experienced for us, draw on the experience. So I'm really excited about Gray and Bergvall. I think they're going to have fantastic futures for us, but I want to see some quality in there as well.
Mitch, come over to you. Look at that midfield. Look, we've been linked with a couple of midfielders. We're bringing that Johnny Cardoso shortly story coming up. But for you, Mitch, is there enough in there for you at the moment, given where we are right now? Or would you like to see Spurs dip into the market and try and bring in potentially another creative midfielder, someone that's going to maybe hold the ball a bit more that we haven't really got that option of right now? What do you think for you, Mitch, when you look at our midfield and that depth in general, that area?
It's a really difficult one, Ricky, because when you look at the central midfielders we actually have a fair, decent amount, but you'd argue that almost none of them fit that number 6 role in the way that we need. You got Sarr, you got Basuma, you got Bentancur, you got Bergvall. That's 4 players there alone that can that have played in perhaps a little bit of a deeper role for us this season. I still think we need a new midfielder. I really do. Archie Gray could obviously do it as well, and we haven't seen him there once this season, so that's another one you can add to the list. The thing is, I'm very conscious that Ange made it quite clear that he needs to add a little bit of experience and almost winning mentality players to the squad. And I feel like that's a very important position that you could add that type of player in, sort of that anchor in midfield, that person that can communicate with both the forward line and the defence and almost come straight in and be a little bit of a leader. So, the 2 players that we've mentioned on here already, I don't know if either of them tick those boxes. So, this Anthony Kinski signing was all data-led, data-driven, and it seems to be the way that we're doing our recruitment at the moment. And the way these targets are coming out and being brought to light by journalists or whoever it may be, that suggests to me that we're trying to recruit all of our players that way. And if that's the case, it then probably makes it very difficult for those established players to get right to the top of those lists, just because the younger ones that maybe have got just as good as stats and are just as good in the data are probably going to be more attainable, more affordable than, say, if you went out and bought an established Premier League player. Or, for example, I saw a report the other day saying that Spurs there are a number of Premier League clubs interested in Douglas Luiz, who went to Juventus from Villa in the summer. For me, I think that would be a brilliant signing. And he's one I'd love to go after. I think he's a really, really good player. I don't think he's settled over in Juventus apparently keen to come back to the Premier League. So that's the type of profile I want. It's a little bit different to what we have in the squad at the moment. But it's very, very difficult. I've had a lot of conversations with people about what an Ange Postecoglou sort of number 6 is and what he looks like. And his requirements, I think, are very, very specific. So are you going to be able to find that perfect player out there for what he wants? I'm not entirely sure. So it just depends what road you go down, Ricky. But I would say, yes, we need another midfielder in that sort of number 6 more defensive role.
Mitch, thank you so much on that point. And I think Bill brought up the links towards Johnny Cardoso. To me, still sounds some kind of like American gangster. Johnny Cardoso. It sounds like it should be in The Godfather or something like that. I mean, what an unbelievable name that's going to be. Crackers will have so much fun, as will Bill and X, if that does end up getting over the line. And just to remind people out there, only Spurs could agree such a crazy option that no one's ever heard of in the whole history of transfers, where Tottenham, I mean, anybody else, right? I mean, technically, when we talk about, you've got first option of player, I mean, everyone's got the bloody first option. If you go and put a bid in, you've got the first option to go and sign the player. But Tottenham are in a situation where they've got the first option to sign Johnny Cardoso, which will be expiring, can I just say? I'm led to believe that will be next summer. Now, as things stands, it is a possibility that he will leave Real Betis during this January transfer window. Now, he joined them in a deal only worth $5 million. And during his time in the Liga, he's seen as a defensive midfield pivot and trying to be quite a strong addition to the side. Now, just to be clear, Tottenham have got this option with the first option after agreeing with Giovanni Lo Celso. He'll be leaving the club to Betis, and this was the agreement Tottenham had in place with them. It's a very unique agreement that I know many people didn't hear of at the time, and many journalists actually haven't commented on it. I mean, I will ask you, Patty, on this one. Johnny Cardoso, again, I'm not sure if you know too much about him, but, we're sticking with midfield here. If that is an option Tottenham got in the summer, would you like to see them maybe accelerate that even quicker in this January transfer window? Do you feel we've got other pushing areas that we need to cover?
No, yeah, get it done, man. That's an area we need depth in, like Billy said and like Mitch has said. We need new profiles and something to spice up and rejuvenate. And sometimes all it takes is one good player to come in and it lifts the whole squad, allows people to relax, be freshened up, and it just adds a bit of vibrancy to the squad. It just feels we're a bit musty and a bit rusty there at the moment. And obviously we're all waiting for players to come back, but you just never know if they're going to be rushed back. Like what happened to Chelsea, that was a disaster. Both of our centre backs essentially rushed back, and now they're both out, and none of us know when they're coming back. So yeah, the quality needed. If he is as good as they say he is, then bring him in, man. For me, we need another good midfielder. We need a forward player that can ideally play off the wing or up front. Because poor Solanke, I think Solanke's been a revelation for us. But God forbid if something happens,
for him, Pat.
that guy runs his arse off. Like when you go to the Grant Stadium and watch him, not like on the TV, because at the stadium you can watch one player, and the way this guy puts in a shift. Day in and day out, always makes the run, always closes down. He works his socks off, and obviously when he gets into position, he finishes. God forbid if anything happened to him, we're fucked, like literally. So we need quality, man. We need players so we can rotate. And for me, that's one of my biggest bugbears about Ange. Obviously, the tactics is one thing, but I think the lack of rotation, because when we had a full squad, we did have obviously Jed Spence, we did have Dragusin, we did have what's his name, the left back is slipped my mind right now.
Reguilon.
Reguilon. We had all these guys that are clearly good enough to play, but they never got a sniff. And now, obviously, through desperation and whichever, and even our keeper, I mean, he had a fantastic game.
Also, Pat, you can't forget Graham Bergvall didn't start a Premier League game
there
until
you go.
early
Exactly.
December.
That's it. Yeah. And that's what's annoyed me. The quality of the squad isn't as bad as Ange made it out to be, in a sense of he literally only trusted 12 or 13 players, ran them into the ground, and then through necessity, he had to play the other guys. And essentially, they've all done well, but he should have rotated more, and then we probably would have had a bit more options to pick from. So bring players in and trust them, because for me, Jed Spence has been fantastic, and he just couldn't get a game. Like even when he was fit.
Well, Murray laugh is
he had
that Stormer Pat against Coventry, where his man of the match, and still couldn't get in the
got
team.
us back in the game. Yeah, I mean, obviously it's so frustrating we lost against Newcastle, but I mean, hats off to Gray and Spence, because
Yeah.
45 minutes is a centre back pairing against a
That's
good
ridiculous.
Newcastle team,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
they didn't, they kept a
Kept the
clean
clean
sheet
sheet.
in that second half. So
Yep.
that just shows the quality. That's what I mean. The quality of these guys is definitely better than what Ange alluded to or made us think, they were, which is frustrating, because I think if he would have rotated more, we probably would have had more bodies available right now. So if you're going to bring players in, bring them in and trust them. That's what I would say.
Yep. Patty, thank you so much. Look, one other midfielder that has been linked to the club, and you can arguably say someone's got some logic out there, is the midfielder, Inter Milan midfielder, that is, of the name of Davide Fratesi, who we understand has rejected the opportunity to join Spurs as he wishes to remain in Italy. I bet he bloody does. You can argue someone's got some bloody sense out there, I tell you. Boys, final one on this. Like I say, a lot of players being linked. I mean, you've all said it there. The chances are things are going to kind of change throughout the window. They're going to fluctuate. I want to ask you, what is a bare minimum that you all feel that we need to end this window with? And I'll start, if I can, with Mitch on that point. Mitch, if I say to you now, right now, look, we're 7th, 8th of January, just for context on this point, what is the minimum expectation that you need going into the second half of the season, trying to salvage the league form, push on the cups? What do we need, in your opinion, to feel comfortable, confident going in to the second half of the season?
Ricky, we could sign an entire new 11 and I wouldn't feel confident going into the second half of the season.
Hold on, all your videos out there, you want the positive ones out there? What?
Do you know what? I use this podcast to just get all my negative ones out.
They've broken you. They've broken you.
I actually think we still need at least 2 signings. One of them has to be a centre back / left back, if that's what Ange is after. In an ideal world, I'd have one of each. But if we can get that's priority as well for me, just because of what we've had to deal with for the last month or so in terms of the players that have had to line up at the back. We need to bring in another centre back at the bare minimum, and a forward that can play across the front line as well, for me, is a priority, just because Brennan Johnson's gone through spells this season. He's been inconsistent. He's sort of dropped off a little bit again now in the last few weeks. Solanke needs some help. We can't bank on Richarlison's fitness in the second half of the season, even though he's on the verge of returning for us. Timo Werner's Timo Werner. And we know that Sonny's legs are maybe feeling a little bit stiff at this stage in the season already. So, yeah, a forward 100% and also a centre-back. And then I think, obviously we just talked about the midfielder and the need for a number 6 and the need for depth. I would love that as well. But if I had to prioritise at this moment in time, I would probably veer towards that one on the front line and the one in the defensive back line, if it meant missing out on the midfielder this month. But in an ideal world, I'd have all 3, Ricky. But Tottenham and football in the January transfer window doesn't work like that, unfortunately.
Doesn't allow it. It doesn't allow it. Doesn't.
No.
Mitch, thank you so much. We'll come to Bill on this point. Bill, I don't know where Bill takes questions like this, because this could go somewhere in the ether, really. Bill, what do we need between now and the end of the January window for you to feel confident about the second half of the season?
I'll tell you what, mate. I was watching an interesting game last night. I don't know if you saw it, a major European trophy contested by 2 giant teams, and I saw Emerson Royale lift a trophy yesterday. So, maybe get back on the phone, Paratici, get Emerson Royale back. We need some bodies back in defence. But in serious though, man, I completely agree with Mitch. We need at least 2 bodies in, at least. And I think it's, we're very much linked to the reports that you said at the beginning of the show that were talking about a forward player. We need defenders so badly. We need defenders like nobody's business, man. We've got no left backs at the moment. We've got Jed Spence. In our Europa League games, we've got literally no left backs because Reguilon and Spence can't play there. God knows what we're going to do there. Davis apparently not back till the end of the month. We need left backs and centre backs big time. Archie Gray is still playing at centre back. Dragoshin was obviously ill at the weekend. We're so thin down there. I'm really surprised that we're not prioritising. To be honest, I'm surprised that we don't have a centre back in already.
Is that a priority for you? Is that a priority position, Bill, for you this window? That centre back. Is that a must have?
It's got to be. Yeah, it's got to be. And possibly you'd look at one that can play left back as well. But for me, ideally, we just have 2 two separate. I'm always a bit skeptical of players that can play multiple positions. I'd rather just have two players that two separate players, to be honest.
Yeah.
Rather than a jack of all trades. I think the midfield thing, right, is an interesting one. I think it's if you're going to have to choose one, I think that's probably one that can wait till summer, because we do have some pretty decent options there in Bissouma, Bentancur, Bergvall, Sarr, and all those guys. If there's one position which is going to have to wait till summer, it's going to have to be that one. But I really need a forward and some defenders, and particularly defenders, man. I can't believe we're going into a semi-final with an 18-year-old playing centre back and a right back playing left back. It's crazy.
Tottenham, only Tottenham. I tell you, only Tottenham. It really is. Just on those points there, Bill, you've raised there in terms of the centre backs. I do at this point, we do know there are links to Itakura. Friend of the show, Paul O'Keefe, has understood to say to us that that's one that Spurs have been offered. And what we understand, just to be clear on that player's profile, is Spurs are viewing him as a backup right now. He's not one of their most predominant options that they're going to move to. Tomori is another name that has been linked with Tottenham during this January transfer window. But again, there has been a change of manager at AC Milan. So that would mean maybe that he might be back in favour there. Thomas Christensen, we understand Tottenham are currently tracking him with a view to the summer rather than now. But again, one to keep an eye on. I think, as I've already said during this show, Kusanov is another defender Tottenham do like. However, the concern right now is that Tottenham are, at the moment, being maybe priced out of a deal for him, given that we're led to believe that his parent club are looking around the 25 to 30 million pound mark. And also Man City and Newcastle are showing genuine interest there. And on the left-hand side of the defence, a name that has been mentioned is Patrick Dorgu. We understand, again, Lecce are looking for a figure of around the 25 to 30 million pound mark. It might be a little bit less than that. I mean, to be fair, Ben Jacobs thought on here last night that you may be able to get him for around 10, 15 million with some negotiation in there. So one to keep an eye on. Pat, I'll come to you on this point. What are for you, Pat, the absolute must-have necessities as we would be closing the January transfer window if it was tomorrow?
Yeah, I can literally copy and paste Billy's answer. Spot on, man. I think we need a centre back because, yeah, we're playing Archie Gray. I think because Archie Gray slotted in so effortlessly, we forget that he's not a centre back and the kid's only 18, 19. So we need a centre back, man, because again, maybe that will stop us rushing back a Mickey or a Romero. And I mean, even Ben Davis, who was a left back initially, is now obviously a decent left-sided centre back, but he's injured as well. So our top three centre backs are all injured. Dragusin is touch and go at the moment. I like Dragusin, but I don't think he's a ball playing centre back. I don't think he's as competent and as comfortable on the ball as a Romero or a Mickey van der Ven, but I do feel he has got other qualities that he can bring. But when you're playing him as your ball playing centre back, it does cause problems. Archie Gray, very competent on the ball, so we can get away with that. But yeah, man, we need a centre back. Obviously, left-sided, I'm not too worried about because as in the left back, because you can get Jed Spence play there and he has been brilliant. And obviously if Reguilon is registered in Europe as well, that solves that issue. It's a strange one because I think Reguilon was a decent player. And I just think he had a bit of like maybe 2 or 3 games where he was a bit shit for us. And then all of a sudden it's like the whole fan base turned on him. But he's still very good on the ball, can whip a cross in. Yeah, he might be a bit diminutive compared to other fullbacks in terms of the profile of him, but I still think he's a good player, man, and I don't know why all of a sudden the whole fan base turned on him. But as you've seen from the last couple of games, he's good enough to put a shift in and be a backup. He doesn't have to be a starting player in our system, but I don't think he's as bad as people made him out to be. But there you go. But yeah, it's definitely a centre back and a forward, a good forward, someone that we know if they're one-on-one, they're going to score and finish, and someone that can actually take a man on. Because with Timo Werner, with all due respect, I just think we all know that 9 times out of 10, he's blasting that into Rosed or he's not beating his man. And
well, he's got to control the ball first, Pat. I mean, that's the first option we need from him. I mean, even that at the moment looked like a struggle at the weekend.
Oh, mate, he's just not good enough, is he? And we all knew that before he even signed. Last year, I didn't mind him coming in January. We had no Son. We had no left-sided forwards, as we all know, blah, blah, blah. But not again in the summer, man. That was crazy for me. And Brennan Johnson, the jury's still out for me on him. I'm not going to lie to you. I know he had a good stint where he scored in consecutive number of games, but I watched him on the weekend and the guy's so fucking lazy. Like, defensively, he doesn't help out. And the funny thing is, it's like Pedro Porro always gets rinsed defensively, how bad he is and this and that. But he doesn't get no defensive help from Brennan Johnson. So
Same as a
Pedro
doggy,
Porro-
Patty. Same as a
yeah,
doggy.
yeah.
Same as a
So
doggy. Same as a
it's
doggy.
like let's call a spade a spade. As good as Johnson may be in terms of like hitting that back stick, and it's our art to be in that place and put the ball in. I think he needs to give more for the team. He shirks out of tackles. He doesn't put his body on the line for the team. He doesn't track back. He doesn't put a shift in defensively. I need to see more from Brennan Johnson. And for me, when I watch the games, I'm like, why is the coaching staff not calling him out on it? That's for me. When you're seeing Solanke run his arse off time after time after time, and you got someone like Brennan Johnson half sprinting to the ball, pretending to run for the ball, it just doesn't make sense how he gets away with it. So that for me is something that we need to address. But yeah, I just think a competent wide forward slash forward and a good ball playing centre back. But I don't know how realistic is that in the January window when there's so many teams that will be looking for the
how
same
realistic
type of
is it
player.
just for Tottenham? How realistic is it for Tottenham Football Club? Forget the January
I think-
transfer. How realistic is it for Tottenham?
You know what? It kind of annoys me because I know obviously we joke and stuff about it, and rightfully so because we know what team we are. But it's crazy because the profile of Tottenham, the amount of money we have, the amount of
Pat, we
wiggle
are
room
the
we've got,
we are
we
the
could.
8th richest club in the world.
I know, and we laugh and joke about it in terms of like the wages, but we could easily go out and spend 250 in terms of bringing in a player for the wages, easily whack 50-60 million down. But I just don't understand. The mentality needs to change, man. It really does, because we should be doing that now. There's no excuses. Stadium's been there for 4 years. We're making X amount of money every game. The fan base is solid. The team, like there's no excuses now. If Ange is going to be backed, then back him. Do you know what I mean? Like, what's wrong with doing that right now? So it really annoys me. And I know January is a hard window, but so what? Go and do it.
Yeah. But I think it's also down to the fact, Pat, let's be honest about it. If you're a serious football club and you just seriously act, I remember, and I don't know how age you all here. I think this might be before Mitch's time. Sorry, Bill. I think this is around your time and my time as well. I mean, there was that January transfer window where I think Harry, we brought in the band back, didn't we? We brought Crankyar in, we brought Defoe in, I think we brought Keane back. So that there has been times where we've had crisis points.
That was because we were under threat of relegation at the time. That's what made Levy do it.
Yeah,
that was a 2.8 game season, mate. Yeah.
Yeah, but we're not far off at the moment. I think it's 2 points.
Exactly.
I don't want to scare everybody. Listen, I said we're not doing the Ange stats tonight. We're not doing the Ange stats, all right? We're not. But the reality is that, anybody out there can see that we are struggling right now. We need players to be brought in. We need to help Ange Postecoglou. If it is Ange Postecoglou they're going to back, or whoever they're going to back, this squad need improvements, right? They absolutely need improvements. And look, we'll finish on this question, and we're going to look ahead to Liverpool. We'll start with Mitch. Mitch, how many players, including Kinski, who's come in, how many players, Mitch, are we going to sign in this January transfer window?
I think we'll sign. I think we will sign 2 more. I think we will sign 2 more. I can't tell you what positions they'll be in, and I can't tell you who they're going to be. But what I can tell you is at least one of them will definitely be on loan. Maybe if not 2. And I think I have a weird feeling, Ricky, that we're not going to end up signing a defender, even though it's a position we probably need most. I have a weird feeling about that. I feel like the midfield and the attacking links are stronger than the defensive ones at the moment. All I'm getting from a defensive targets is that we don't want to spend the amount of money that teams want for their defenders, which is, in true Tottenham fashion. So yeah, I think we'll bring in 2 on top of Kinski, but where they will be, who knows? Ask me in 3 weeks.
Patty, numerically, how many are we bringing in?
Yeah, I think Mitch is bang on. I think it'll be 3. Obviously, Kinski's already in, so I think it'll be 2 more. Ideally, a defender and a forward. But yeah, I think that's about right.
Bill, you agree with the boys?
Yeah.
Or are you more optimistic?
2
exactly
more. The same, 2 more. Yeah, and I think, to be fair, 3 signings in January, that's about as much as you can realistically expect. I think.
Well, under this ownership, I agree with you. Yeah. Under this ownership.
Yeah. Very, very rarely going to see 4 signings in a January transfer window, I don't think.
Well, I've always said, look, and again, this is not it's to criticise the board and to slam them again. I've said this under every ENIC transfer window, back from when they joined to where we are now, that I have felt in every single window we've gone into and we've come out of that we've never done enough. And that is the reality of, being a Spurs fan, that you go into a window with high expectations. I mean, you boys all know around the summer the kind of targets that we're after. Pat, you mentioned them earlier, the likes of Eze, Conor Gallagher. So many players that were linked in the summer. And then what we did get in the end, one established first-team player in Dominic Solanke. And I think, look, Bergvall and Gray, they're going to be great for Tottenham's future in terms of where we are right now and what we want to do right now. I know that phrase has been used in the summer, that Tottenham are building for a post-Pep Guardiola era. Would it be nice to have a Tottenham side that actually want to build for now, that actually want to compete for now? I mean, that would be great. Rather than looking 2 or 3 years in advance.
You know what? I don't want to hear that crap because football changes so quickly, and Arsenal fans will tell you this right now. Like, they were building for the post-Pep era, and look where Liverpool have come out of nowhere. Look where Forest have come out of nowhere. You got to build for right now and just take your chances when they come, because you don't know what tomorrow holds. Like,
absolutely.
Who thought Man City would drop this much, and then who thought that Liverpool and other teams would overtake them? So it's nonsense, man. We need to build for now. So yeah.
Yep. Patty, look, I totally agree with you. Look, what we are going to do, we are going to go for our final break of the show for our listeners and audio. For our listeners and audio, it is Cup Semi-Final day, first leg. You're going to hear from the wonderful Red Men TV, who give you a massive preview, and that is where we are heading next. Look, we've got nearly over 7,000 of you that are watching us live on X, on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitch. Guys, thank you so much for all your support. Look, I don't normally say it often on here, but feel free to hit the subscribe button if you want to hit the subscribe button. Build up the likes if you want to hit the like button. Look, we've got content every day through the January transfer window. You're thinking, I am risking my marriage, and it's been at risk for the last 7-8 years, guys, I'll be honest with you. It's totally at risk being a Tottenham fan, as everybody does know. So it's a miracle I do get out of here scot-free in the next 50 years. And what is it all worth for? Come on, Tottenham. Bring me home a trophy, for God's sake, after what the stress we have to go through with this football club. Cup semi-final day. Look, we've known, obviously, how big this game is in Tottenham's calendar. It's absolutely massive. And Liverpool, they will be going into the game with a slight concern over Dominic Szoboszlai, who, to be fair, from what we hear from Arne Slot, is their only real doubt going into this one. I think there is a common consensus that Liverpool, they may rest a couple of players, but look, they are going to take this competition massively, massively seriously. I think also to bring into context of this as well in terms of the other leg that's just taken place, Newcastle's just gone away to Arsenal and won by 2-0, which many would think maybe is a bit of a shock because Arsenal are in desperate need of a trophy, you'd argue, under Arteta and what they're trying to do there. And I think that just shows you, look, I mean, many would maybe have put Arsenal as favourites, although Newcastle have been a side that have been, I think that's their 6th, 7th win on the bounce now. They've been in incredible form under Eddie Howe, but that'll be deeply damaging to Arsenal, who we've got next week. Pat, I'm sure is looking forward to that one. I think Pat will jump out the window for next week after that show.
Yeah, you know what? That's Newcastle's 7th win on the spin, so that's a really good result. And it goes to show we had a second half of Spence and Gray, and I hate applauding losses. We lost at the end of the day, but I thought the boys on Saturday were fantastic, and we were right in that game. And if it wasn't for the dodgy refereeing, I thought we would have probably got something out of that. But
interesting thing about Newcastle as well. They had a horrific injury crisis last year, terrible season. They stuck by their manager, and look where it's getting them. That's all.
Yeah, interesting,
Bill. I wonder where you're going with that. What do you reckon? Ange's new deal?
Well, I'd give it to him, mate.
Here we are, mate. Right, let's do it, boys. Cup semi-final day, massive day in the calendar for Tottenham. Mitch, let's start with you. Mitch, I always see your videos. It's how we can do it. It's why we can do it. It's when we're going to do it. Mitch, it's a massive game for Tottenham. Can we beat Liverpool? Can we give us an advantage going to Anfield despite the plethora of injuries and absentees that we are right now? We know obviously Richarlison is back in training. We know Kinski could make his debut. Can we do it, Mitch?
Absolutely we can, Ricky. Absolutely we can. What's the point of getting this far? What's the point of getting to the semi-final of a cup competition and then you come up against a decent team and you sit there and go, well, that's it. That's the end of the run. It's game over now, isn't it? We're playing Liverpool. Like, come on, at home in the first leg, a chance to, get in front, albeit it's going to be probably the toughest task we've had all season. That chance is there. It's not impossible. Manchester United are just as bad as us, and they showed that they can put up a fight against Liverpool at Anfield as well. So, yeah, absolutely we can. It's going to rely on luck being on our side. On the night, it's going to rely on the crowd being up for it and with the players throughout the whole game. I'll be doing my bit in the South Stand. I will be behind them from minute 1 to minute 90. It's a tie, isn't it? It's a game of 2 legs, and it's 2 games away from Wembley. All of us Tottenham fans bang on and on and on about how much we want us to win a trophy. So for me, I don't see the point of sitting there and saying or even thinking, well, we've got absolutely no chance, because it's not the case.
Yeah,
and the crowd will play a big part. Perhaps Liverpool's team selection will play somewhat of a part if they just do decide to rest maybe one or two of their big boys. I mean, come on, Salah, you haven't had a rest all season. Just sit this one out, sit on the bench for this one, and just let us have this. You guys can have the Premier League, you can have the Champions League, you can have the FA Cup if we win the Carabao Cup. I don't care. So, I'm feeling positive, and I will feel positive until after the final whistle goes at Anfield, that we can make it through and we can get to the final.
Mitch, that was a really positive take. I love that. Bill, we'll come around to you. Look, Bill, you know how big this game is in Spurs' season, and I know for many going to that stadium, we need to create something there. I mean, it did surprise me. And again, look, I'm not going to be a hypocrite. Many will know that I kind of pick and choose the games that I do go to with family commitments, with Last Word on Spurs as well, just to be very, very clear. That I was staggered to see the game go to guest sale for a semi-final at home against Liverpool in a season where, look, I think it's been tricky, it's been difficult. And I mean, I think, friend of the show, John Wenham, bless him, John, who's a really close friend of mine who runs Lily White Rose. John did make that point on X that, there's been a lot of games in the last 7-8 days I say 7-8 days, 7-8 weeks. It's a lot of money that people have given up in regards to, we know football now is not, as you know, Bill, as well, when you can get there on time, bless him. It's always with Bill for an X. There's those that don't have X. The question is not whether Spurs will win the match, it's whether Bill will get there in the first half to see the second half.
Tomorrow I'll be right on the wire as well. I'll be there by the second half tomorrow, trust me, because I'm coming straight from work. So
I just hope the players aren't the same as you and they actually shut for the full 90 and don't just go for the second half. But on this point, Bill, do you feel we can go in this game and at least keep it at a point where we go to Anfield, something to play for? Can we do that in your opinion? Even the injuries that we've got at the moment.
The interesting point that you raised about the ticket thing, I think there's it's a really complicated situation, and there's lots of different factors that play into that. I think one of them is the fact that I think a lot of fans are just fed up, mate. To be honest, I think we're at a breaking point at the moment. Like, we're going through such a bad time. Like, we got ticket prices that are sky high. Newcastle was a Category A game, and they're not in the Champions League. Why is that a Category A game? That was £94 in my seat to go and watch Newcastle v Tottenham. I think that's a disgrace, to be honest with you, mate. I think there's been about 7 or 8 games around the Christmas period. It's traditionally a really hard period for people financially. So I think there's lots of different factors on it. But in terms of the game, I think someone called King Hoddle or something in the chat earlier just put about hopefully we can take a draw and then go into the second leg. I think if we don't win tomorrow, it's over, to be honest with you. I think we have to win tomorrow.
You don't even feel, Bill, you don't think go to Anfield?
Shocking. It's terrible. I don't think we've won there in my lifetime, even that I can think of. Like
Van der Vaart, Pienaar.
Yeah.
Stephen Pienaar.
I think we have to win tomorrow. But that being said, I think with the atmosphere under the lights at Tottenham, we can beat anyone on our day. We proved it against Man City and Man United. If the crowd really get behind the team, and the thing is with Ange, and Ange ball and the way that we go, we have spells. We have 10, 15-minute spells where we blow teams away. If we get into one of them tomorrow, score a couple goals, then we're going to have to defend for our lives and then a game and a half. But it's doable. It's doable. It's not impossible, put it that way.
No, I mean, look, we make the point there of the fact that I think many do feel like this, Pat, that we just need to, especially in this first leg, stay in the game, because for us, as we know, for that second leg, if please God, we have that second leg to compete with Liverpool in, we are going to, fingers crossed, have back Ben Davis, we've obviously got Radu Dragic at the moment, but who knows, between now and the next month, we may need to get him back again. Christian Romero and Mickey van der Ven. Is your kind of thought process here, Pat, get through the first leg and just be in it when we go to Anfield? Or do you agree with Bill there that we have to go to Anfield with an actual commanding scoreline? We need to be winning the game?
Yeah, it's such a sticky one, because obviously they say to win the trophy, ideally you need to go through the best, and Man City, Man United, and now Liverpool. Liverpool, for me, are the best team probably in Europe right now. Their form is phenomenal. They're a fantastic team. I think they're top or second in the Champions League. They're top of our league by a country mile. They play, in my opinion, what would be the perfect dose of Ange ball. They play the heavy metal football, but they also have control in midfield, and they can see out games when they need to. If Ange could tweak things and mirror, Arne Slot, we'd all be happy campers right now. And I can't lie, and like Billy said, and it's quite interesting, I'm probably the opposite to Mitch on this one. When the chance came for me to go to the tomorrow's game, I declined it. I didn't opt for my season ticket seat for this game. I just thought, you know what, I've had enough, man. Going to all these games and seeing my team lose week in, week out, week in and week out. I just couldn't bear it again. So obviously I'm going to watch it tomorrow, but I thought, you know what, I'm sitting this one out, man. So I'm not actually going tomorrow. So shout out to whoever's got my seat, but I've just had enough. Do you know what I mean? I've had enough of going to games and watching us lose, and it does get to you. I can't lie, it gets to you, man. It hurts so
I know
much.
you care deeply
So
about the club. You care deeply about the
yeah,
club.
and
Yeah.
I opted. This is the first time in a long time I've decided not to go to a game. I just thought, you know, I'm not paying again. I'm paying 30, 40 quid to watch my team probably get blown away.
Patty,
Like
you
the
know as
quality,
well, also to qualify this point, Pat, it's not just 30, 40 quid. It's the train up there and down. It's the food as
exactly, the
well.
travel, the
You've done
food, the
70,
this and
80
that,
pound GBP before you've
mate.
even got to your
And like
seat.
Billy said, I mean, the amount of times, even on the game against Liverpool, there was quite a few empty seats around me. And obviously, it's an early kickoff, just in festive, you know, literally first weekend of the new year. It's tough getting there at 12:30 on a Saturday, and you know there was travel issues and this and that. And yeah, like Billy said, 94 quid for a seat in the South Stand. That's mental. Like Newcastle were Champions League team for the first time in like 40 years last year. No, it's probably about 25 years. I'm exaggerating, but they're not a Champions League team anymore. That ticket should have went straight down to Category B. But of course, they're not going to do that, are they? So yeah, I'm watching it tomorrow at home. I hope everyone in the stadium does support. The fact that you said there's so many tickets that were still available shows that a lot of fans are feeling the same way. And
Yeah.
it's tough, man. Obviously, we want to. It's so hard as well because Liverpool are so good. I can't lie. I'm not going to sit here like Mitch and say, yeah, I can't see us getting anything tomorrow. I just got to be honest. I just got to call it how I feel. And right now, I just don't see
Do you think, Pat, we could be
beating.
out of it in the first leg then? Do you think we could be out of it in the first leg?
If we play how we played against them the other day, it's over. Do you know what I mean? I just hope Ange does do something and shock us and just solidify and be a bit more tighter and resolute. There's no shame in knowing that a team's better than you and setting up a bit more defensively and picking them off. Like, we've got the players to pick these guys off and open them up. But if we try and go like machine for machine against a team like Liverpool right now, we're going to get our asses handed to us. We were 5-1 down with 30 minutes to go in the last time we played them. I still got PTSD from that game, man. That could have been a cricket score if they really wanted it to be. So we just need to be careful. And and then we've got the tricky fixture of Anfield as well. So it doesn't get any easier. So I can't lie to you. I don't see us going through this one. I hope I'm wrong, but I just got to be realistic. I think where we are right now, with the injuries we've got, how good they are. Like you said, I think they've got one player out, and they're in fantastic form.
I think they've got one player out. They're sweating on his fitness, so he still might be available.
Salah's in the form of his life. Gakpo looks brilliant this year. I mean, they just look so good, man. It's gonna be
the only
hard.
one I think Mitch said it, or you might have said it, Pat. I think Trent Alexander-Arnold with the speculation going on in the future at the moment. I mean, that's one that he might sit out. He might sit out.
That guy offensively, he can still put a ball on a.
Of course he can,
can't he?
So there's a reason why he's been at Real Madrid, isn't there? There's a reason why.
That team, I think their team is just so good, man. And I hate to be defeatist on here, and I just think I'm just being honest right now and realistic. I just think it's too tall of an ask, and I think we've been quite unlucky, man. We've drawn 3 fantastic teams back to back, and I mean, if we beat them, it would be fantastic, and then. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I just want us to go out now because I don't want us to get to the final and then lose it. That would kill me. That would literally send me over the edge. Imagine if we beat Liverpool and then lose to Arsenal and Newcastle. That would be not. Yeah, that's unthinkable.
I hate to say it, but it would just be that phrase. This is who we are, mate. This is who we are, mate. That'll just finish me off.
But obviously, I hope no one else feels like me. I hope this is just me. And everyone else is feeling positive.
Well, Pat, unfortunately, Pat, it isn't just you because obviously we know by those that are regular, similar, same as you, seem to get holders in the stadium. Many have decided to opt against it, and that's why there is the fact that the game has gone on to Gessau, which that wasn't a dig to say are amazing season ticket holders like you, Pat. I think it's an indictment of kind of the season that we've had. It's an indictment of the injuries, the indictment of maybe the brand of football at times that I know has frustrated some. The indictment is, Pat, as you've said, the fact that losing hurts, and to go and see that for a number of occasions has been tricky. But look, want to keep things upbeat, want to keep things positive. And what I will echo, Pat, is what you said, is that look, everybody go into that stadium tonight for our watching audience, raise the roof, make it noisy. Spurs are in a semi-final, and the reality is that look, Tottenham, they don't get to many. I think having said that, we are, I think, outside of the regular top 4, top 5, we have got to the most semi-finals in however many years, but have not got over the line. So we need to change that. And look, it's not going to be any harder than Liverpool. And I made that joke that reality is that if we're beaten along that journey, Man United, Man City, Man United, Man City. Now, of course, we've got Liverpool. And then if we had Arsenal in the final, people would just turn around and say, yeah, it was only the Carabao Cup. And I'm thinking that would just sum up life as a Tottenham fan, wouldn't it? We could do United, do City, do Liverpool, do Arsenal, and then the rest of football fandom would go, yeah, but it's only the Carabao Cup. Bill, what would your response be to that?
Look at the
Well,
teams
so
that they put out today.
Yeah,
Yeah.
to beat Coventry together.
Yeah, big commentary together.
Newcastle and Arsenal put out full strength teams today, so it shows how much it means. When you get to a semi-final now, you got to go for it. Do you know what I mean? So, I mean, I looked at Newcastle's following fixture. They got Accrington Stanley, so it's not like they've got a tough.
Who are
one.
they?
Don't,
exactly.
So they don't need to rest players. So that doesn't work in our favour. I know we've got Tamworth as well, but that's
the big thing for me. It's all on what team Liverpool are going to put out. If they put out we're fucked.
I mean, I just get. I'm more worried. I'm more worried about the Tamworth game. I keep making a joke on it. Since that draw's been made, that Tamworth game has looked harder week upon week, game upon game, hour upon hour, minute upon minute. Right, we're gonna keep it positive. Cup semi-final. Let's get predictions in. Let's lock them in. Let's start with Pat because we know this way he's going. Patty, keep us in it for the second leg at least. Keep us in it for the second leg, Pat. Come on.
You know what?
Keep us in it for the second leg.
1-1. This is me just hoping, and
listen. I think a lot of I think a lot of people would take a 1-1. To go to Anfield, something to play for.
Yeah,
1-1.
I hope so. Yeah.
Is that with a second half defence of how we finished the game in the last one? Maybe that's where we're going wrong. Maybe we do need to play that similar back line that kept the second half clean sheet.
Oh man.
I think I play Kinski and I play Brandon Austin the way we've been this season defensively in the last 4 or 5 games. Can I just say, I know people made this point, Tottenham did have at one point, I think, the 3rd best defence and the 2nd best attack before the injury. So look, I'm not going to raise agendas here because the reality is I've not given you the Ange stats on this show, just to be very, very clear. And I will make that point that before we had this plethora of injuries and the plethora of absentees and the sickness bucket, I think it does feel like this club is a social experiment. I know Bill often jokes about this, that, we did have at one point the 3rd best defence in the league and we also were the 2nd top goal scorers. And now we're just trying to hold on for dear life in terms of not being sucked into looking at the bottom half of the table, which I can't do. Bill, give me a prediction. What are we going for?
You're
going to be there.
Manifesting, mate. 3-1 Tottenham.
Oh, 3-1 Tottenham. Going to Anfield with a 2-goal lead. What we worried about? We'll be absolutely fine. It's who we are, mate. Bill, we'll ask you because I think we know where Pat's at with this. Can we make it through, Bill? Can we get through to a final?
It's going to be very, very tough, but stranger things have happened. We went playing a much better Arsenal team a few years ago and smashed them off the park in a semi-final, so it can happen. I'm going to say yes. If you can't believe in things like this, then what's the point of being a fan? Do you know what I mean? This is where you got to make yourself look stupid and dream about things because that's what we get out of bed for, right? As a fan, is winning these trophies. So I'm a dreamer.
Bill, we made ourselves look stupid from day one of us being born.
Yeah,
we
exactly.
accepted an invisible contract to support this bloody football club. Can I understand? We had no choice in the matter, and there is no. And just to be clear, for everybody at Spurs out there is no get out. You are stuck for life. You can't get out. Bill, thank you so much. We've got one final question to go round, but let's go to Mitch. Mitch, prediction, first leg. What do you reckon?
I'm going to go 2-1 Tottenham just to set us up for the most horrible gut-wrenching 90 minutes at Anfield for the second leg because we don't do it any other way, really, do we? It's definitely not going to be a comfortable night tomorrow or tonight for whoever's listening.
When was the last time it was comfortable there, Mitch?
Exactly. That's what I mean.
Everton at home. Everton at home was comfortable. I'm trying to think. That was comfortable.
How long ago was that?
Away.
Well, you was here, Mitch. We was there at the stadium. We were back here. That was a comfortable one. Yeah.
Tell me about it.
Merseyside team, who knows? Listen, we'll keep our fingers crossed. Like I say, Joe, I'm also going to give a prediction in the end. People are thinking, Rick, you're mad. Where have you got this from? I'm going to go for a 2-1 Spurs win. I've just got a feeling it's been such a hard season that something's got to happen for us this season. Something's got to happen. Final question to you all, boys. This is not to start another long debate, which it could do. If I was to offer you just to be clear, a League Cup and a 12th, 11th place finish Pat, has it been a successful season?
Oh, 100%. Imagine winning a trophy and breaking that duck and having a manager, we were talking about earlier, Sonny, the captain, lifting a trophy. I'll take that all day long.
And Ange gets a new deal. And Ange gets a new deal.
Listen, if he wins a trophy and he can bring back the players in terms of the injuries and we have a better second half, then as you guys know, I mean, I've never been Ange's biggest fan, blah, 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 blah. But I said, even at the stickiest point, there's no point sacking him. Let's see this through and see where it ends. So if it does end with a trophy, then happy days, man. I mean, no one else has done that. So I can't begrudge that. So I'll take that all day long. We finished second, we finished third, we finished fourth, we finished fourth, we finished fourth, we finished fifth. There's been no trophies, so why not? So yeah, I'll take it all day long, 100%. Because winning breeds winning, and you can actually sell that to players. Players don't care about the history of Tottenham in that sense. And I'm not being funny. Like a top talented 23, 24-year-old just wants to know, can I come here? Can we win stuff? Are we going to play Champions League football? Are we going to win things? That's all they care about. And if you can show them the team has just won a trophy, let's build them. They're going to come. So yeah.
Yeah. Patty, thank you so much. Bill, I don't know if it was in you, Alfie. I'm not sure you'd offer him a contract now. I know you love Ange Postecoglou. I know you do. I know, listen, we've all had wavering thoughts on this, but Bill, a trophy and a mid-table finish, is that a successful season for Tottenham being a League Cup?
All day, every day. I'll take it right now. I'll take it every single day of my life, definitely. In the context of this trophy drought, I'll bite your hands off for it, mate.
I tell you what have Tottenham done to us, eh? What have Tottenham done to us? Look, I think given our trophy record, I think many of us would just, this season especially, we would accept, I think, a trophy and a mid-table finish. I mean, there's some out there that wouldn't, really, to be fair. Mitch, are you going to add to this case that if Tottenham do win a trophy and they finish mid-table, you look back and say it's been a successful season?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think there's another answer at this point, particularly with how the season has unfolded so far. So, European places in the league are looking very, very far away. So I think it's very easy to say, yes, it has been a successful season if we win it. But, I know that you want as much as all of us to lift that tiny little Carabao Cup with the green bits hanging off the side, or turn them into blue and white bits.
I couldn't care if it's a teacup now, the way we're going. I'd lift anything now. Anything, a silverware.
Exactly.
I couldn't care what it looks like.
Exactly. You can get yourself down to a club shop after we've won it, Ricky. You get a photo with it, all of that sort of stuff. I'd take it.
I'll get charged for that as well. No matter they'll charge us for that. Don't worry about that. Also charge us. That'll be a
bus parade for a Carabao Cup. That'll be so. I'll take it, mate. At this point, bus parade.
Ange on the front of the bus. Pat trying to throw him off it. there'll be me behind Pat trying to make sure we haven't killed him. But who knows what's going to happen? Look,
listen, if he wins it, I'll be partying with him. Listen, don't get me wrong, man. That would be
the most Tottenham thing to happen. Everyone bollocking him in the away end was at Bournemouth, and then suddenly we're celebrating in a parade for the Carabao Cup final.
We're fickle creatures, man. We're fickle creatures.
Honestly.
If he wins it, I'm partying with him, 100%.
Listen,
100%.
I said if we're partying, I don't think there'll be a show for a week. We would be hungover. I said if we go and win a cup, forget a post-match show. We'll be doing that from the top of a minibus somewhere. I don't know where we'll be. Look, I want to say a massive thanks. Incredible panel. Nearly over 8,000 of you have watched this show live on X, on Instagram, on Facebook and YouTube. Guys, we can't thank you enough for your support. Listen, I've had the wonderful, wonderful Mitch Fretton. Mitch, thank you so much. Mitch for his sins. Don't look so happy, Mitch, or sad. Mitch will be joining us during this next month for more of the transfer window. How happy does he look? Check him out. Of course, great YouTube channel there, telling you why you should be positive, telling you why you should be excited. Mitch, have I left anything out?
No, I don't think so, mate. A lovely little glow up from you there, so thank you very much.
Mitch, you're a star. Bill on X. Listen, it won't be can Tottenham win the game. It will be can Bill get there in time, at least for the first half. Bill, will it happen?
It's going down to the wire tomorrow. I'll tell you that now. Keep tuned. I reckon I'll get there at 8:05. Is my prediction.
I'll tell you what, many will tune in for the team news. I think it's on the team news. Has Bill made it or not? That's the most important thing in these next 5 minutes. Bill, we love you. We'll see you back soon for your sins. Don't look too upset. Sorry, we're going to call upon you again.
Amazing to be on with such a good panel as well. Thank you.
Bless you. You're a star. The wonderful Billy there. Billie T. God, where we've been alive about Billie T and X at times. I know everybody frantically looks at their phones and thinks, God, we've lost another one. Where's Bill's tweets? Let me make me feel myself better. Bill, you're a star. Patty, we'll close with you. Patty, thank you so much. Look, I know for you to not be there, that's going to be really hard for you because you're Tottenham through and through. It's in your blood. And the reality is that, look, I think, as we've said, those that are going to be there, get behind the team. Semi-final. We need a result. Patty, any final message to the rallying cry of the Spurs army?
Oh man, get behind the team. If you're brave enough to go there tomorrow, then yeah, by all means, go crazy in that south stand, all around the stadium, and give it your all, man. The thing is, the stadium has been brilliant for me. When I come home and I see Twitter and I see people moaning about the support, when I'm there, I don't feel that. I feel the love, I feel the energy, and I feel everyone getting behind the team. So hopefully there's more of that tomorrow. And yeah, I hope we can. I mean, Newcastle went to the Emirates today and they got a result. So hopefully, you know, they're the underdogs tomorrow. Let's have it right, even though we're at home. Hopefully we can do the same. The magic of the cup. Let's go. Let's take it from there, man. That's all I can say, really. But yeah.
Yeah. Listen, behind the boys, we are Tottenham. Let's go to that semi-final. Let's go and smash it and see where we go from there. From the wonderful Mitch Fretton, from the superb Billie T, from the brilliant Chatty Patty, we have been the last word on Spurs. Like, subscribe, do the magical stuff. We'll see you soon. Keep the faith. And as always,